Well, hello, good morning, good afternoon, wherever you are. Happy to be here with you, talking about something today that, of course, I have noticed with many of the women that I have spoken to and coached over the years, which is about how to make progress even while being imperfect. Because it can be a mess when it comes to rebuilding our financial lives and figuring out what to do next. And a lot of women that I've coached, they feel so stressed with credit card debt, and they feel like they're needing a plan or some sort of direction when it comes to managing their money. And because they're not feeling that they have a plan or direction, and they have a lot of overwhelm with not being able to manage their money and paying off debt, there's just so much fear and overwhelm. And what ends up happening is what I've seen a lot, and it's happened with myself, is this belief of having to have it perfect before getting it started. They'll feel like I have to get this right before I can even show that I'm making progress. And that's actually not true because, first of all, there's no such thing as perfection. Nothing is perfect, right? But where the truth lies is being able to move and to have movement and to flow. So your liberation is not going to be neat and tidy. Okay. Healing our money story, healing any financial trauma or financial anxiety that we have, it doesn't require perfection at all. It honestly requires presence. And you don't have to have all of the answers. It's just about being willing to be open to the process and to be curious and to be available to what comes up. And that all takes an openness. And that liberation also starts the moment, in those moments, if it's uncomfortable, when you're choosing to face that discomfort. So the decision to not turn away, that is beautiful. And because what it means is that you are literally reclaiming your power by not waiting to have it all together. So I can give an example of what this could maybe look like for somebody who may be struggling at this point in time with some significant feelings of overwhelm with not knowing where to start and feeling like it has to be absolutely tip top zipped up and nice and tidy before knowing that you're going to have progress. So let's say, for example, what I've seen with a lot of women, and again myself, is when it comes to avoiding looking at finances because of that complete overwhelm. So it could be avoidance of looking at your bank account. It could be avoidance of opening the mail. It could be the avoidance of having a conversation with your tax advisor, knowing that it has to get done. But because it's not perfect, right? Because maybe there's some overspending in the banking that you're spending with your money, or maybe there's some shame around your financial situation and not wanting to talk to your tax professional. And so there's that avoidance that's there, right? So being aware that that's happening, and also being willing to be curious about it. Like, what is it about this that is stirring this up inside of me, is a good question to ask. What am I afraid of? Right? What? It's asking the what questions, or how can I learn from this? Or how can I move through this? What is something that is available for me right now to support me to move forward, even if it's a teeny tiny micro step, because that's still movement. So back to somebody who may have a spreadsheet or using an app for their budgeting needs, right? If you've been avoiding it and being like, I don't want to look at it, I don't want to know what's going on, even if you are become aware of that and that time comes, when you do decide to open it later on, that is still progress, because you're not completely ignoring it and stepping away and like acting like it's not there. I was the queen of that. It's not there. I'd have so many. I remember one time I had so many, oh my gosh, envelopes in my house from creditors, and they were just sitting right there. I wouldn't open them. I was like, nope, it's not there. I still struggle with that today. When I know I'm getting something in the mail I don't really want to get, like, I don't know if any from the Bay Area, those fast track. I don't have a fast track thing. I should probably just get one, but I get the bills in the mail and I get so annoyed every time they come in and they just sit on my desk right here. And I just look at them like, "Ah, I don't want to open it." And it's not much. It just bugs me. Anyway, I'm just being real. So back to that spreadsheet. If you open it up and you close it, that's progress. That's movement. And every time we're having movement in the direction that we want, it begins to compound over time. And another form of movement is if there's anyone here who I just recently did a wonderful, I loved it, webinar on how to stop impulsive spending. And so one of the things I talked about was pausing, being able to pause before making an emotional purchase. So if you're somebody who is like, this is something I want to work on, even if you pause the next time or sometime in the future before making that purchase, and later on you still buy it, the fact that there was that pause before the buy versus automatically buying it, that is growth. Yes, maybe you still spent on something that you didn't want to, you were trying not to, but you ended up doing it. The fact that you're aware of it and you didn't just go into it blindly and and just move and then later on like, you paused. And so having those moments of pause when it comes up, I invite you to really slow down in that moment if it's possible. Put your feet on the ground, take a moment of a breath, and just say, I can do this. Like shifting that energy in that moment from one that is critical and judgmental to yourself, and basically being like, okay, I'm aware this is happening and I can do this. That is progress. So every time that you, in those moments of pausing and you turn inward or you do something that is feeling good, that is moving you in the direction you want to go, that will begin to increase over time because eventually you will start to feel good. And even in that moment, you will. And so our brain, we naturally want to do things that is easy and feels good. So that's why these habits come up. So just remember that is progress and happening. And those baby steps that you take, please don't discount them. I like to give this example. Think of this: when a baby is learning to walk and falls down, right? What do the adults do? What do the parents do? Do they yell and berate the baby for falling because they're learning to walk? Or do they say something really encouraging and loving, like, it's okay, get back up, you can do it, right? The tone of voice. So consider that for yourself when you're taking these baby steps. If you fall, if you do something you said you didn't want to do, it's okay. Be kind to yourself, encourage yourself like you would a baby in your life or even your children, they're younger, grandchildren, right? Be that to yourself because that again is that self-compassion and that will compound. And that is that really good energy shifting from fear, overwhelm, and anxiety to more love and acceptance and peace. And that is the healing work right there. So the last point I want to talk about is that every messy move that you make is a reclamation of your power. Because every time you choose yourself and you're choosing to do a no way and letting go of the old ways that are no longer serving you. So the old way could be avoiding that checking account, right? And then you start maybe consistently a little bit at a time, setting aside time and opening it up, right? That is you getting back into alignment. You're rewriting the narrative. And every time you say no, I'll share this with you. One of the greatest things, I forgot who it was that I learned this from, but it was another coach. I read her book. I can't remember her name. Anyway, she had a great tip on, which I use for myself and I'm going to share with you, that let's say, for example, when there's that moment of buying something and you're somebody that may want to change your emotional spending, in that moment, instead of saying something like, I can't afford this, right? That's kind of a lower frequency thing. That's a scarcity thing. I can't afford it. I mean, it really is. If you shift it to saying, This is not my financial priority right now. My financial priority is, and follow up with what you want. Maybe my financial priority is to save $500 this week, right? So every time you do that, you're shifting and you're speaking it into existence on what your financial priority is. So use that one. It works. Trust me. I've had many clients use that one in between coaching sessions, and they come back and they're so happy because it supported them in being able to say no to something that they were previously buying that was not keeping them on track with their goals. So again, that's how you can rewrite that narrative. So it isn't just about the money. It isn't just about the dollars. It isn't just about the savings accounts. It's about remembering that you get to be in charge of your money story. Even when it's scary, even when it's uncomfortable, you can still be in charge and have choice in how you want to respond to it. That's a hard one too, though. Especially if, I mean, I'm gonna be real. I have a teenage daughter right now, and let me just say, it's been rough. She's pushing the boundaries, and I am noticing, like, okay, I've got to show up and continue to be that peaceful presence, as hard as it is, because I can be in charge of the story in our home. The old story that I had growing up was one of yelling and controlling and restrictive. But what I'm choosing now is rewriting what is literally ingrained in me to show up as best as I can. I have my moments, which I literally just did last night with her, to just forgive myself, recognize that it makes sense that this is happening with me, how I'm responding that way, because that's what has been wired in me, and it's okay. And I show up and I apologize to myself, I apologize to her, and then I literally do some energy work to bring myself back to peace. And you can do the same thing when it comes to managing your finances, how we show up and rewriting the story that has been taught to us by example, what we were exposed to. It takes work. And it's amazing though with what the outcome can be when, once again, like I mentioned earlier, when we're curious and we're willing to do things differently. And even in those messy moments of when there's a slip up and we're not showing up the way that we truly want to be, the faster that we can go into a space of acceptance and honesty and focus on bringing that peace into the decisions that we're making, and to have that knowledge and awareness and to choose in that moment, like, I can start over again. I can start over again. Every moment we have, we can start over again. So as you are working on your finances or moving forward, if there's something that you're feeling needs to be absolutely perfect before even considering that it's something that you're making progress on, and you're feeling a lot of overwhelm and not knowing where to start, trust me when I say it really does start with just having this understanding that you don't have to be perfect to be making movement, to be having that progress, because nothing in this world is perfect. And most definitely, financial mistakes, rebuilding, all of that, it's not perfect. I am so not perfect. This is why I do the work that I do. I've come a long way. I've come a long way because I focus on this. I'm passionate about it. I recognize the significant transformation in myself, as well as many of the women that I've coached over the years. And this is why I'm talking about this, because it's so important. And I want you to know these things, because as we start to become more aware and practice this, I'm letting you know right now, you will begin to start having more peace in your day and having more groundedness and being able to practice some of the things that I brought up today. So I know that what I'm sharing with you is golden nuggets. And please do let me know. Send me a message on LinkedIn. Send me an email, leah@leahcoaching.com. I would love to hear from you. Let me know if any of this is something that you've been able to implement and what difference it's made for you. So on another note, if you're ready and you want to continue diving into this a lot more deeper, mark your calendars on May 7th. I haven't nailed down the time yet, but I do have the date. I'm going to be having another free webinar, and this is to help women build a money practice that is rooted in self-trust and liberation. And this will be one of the topics that I cover in there in more depth. So I look forward to seeing you there. I am sending you so much love and peace and order and joy for today and every day. Just know that the fact if you're here watching this right now or listening to this right now, you are already making that significant change in your life that you want. Maybe it's not showing up how you truly envision it in this moment right now, but the fact that you're here, and if anything that I said kind of moved you and struck a chord with you and you walk away with a little bit of a moment, keep that with you. Okay, just keep one step at a time, those baby steps. Remember, be kind to yourself like you would another baby that's fallen and you're helping it get back up again. All right, sis.